Welcome to In Touch Think STEM Career Podcast. I am Dr. Ayo Lafade. Today I am honored and I am privileged to be talking with Mrs. Chinwe Nkiru. Mrs. Chinwe Nkiru is a Nigerian from West Africa, and she is the founder and the executive director of Flourishing Life International Foundation. She is also the president of the Ladies for Sustainable Community Development International. Mrs. Nkiru is also a partner co-founder, and she runs a She for STEAM project in schools in Nigeria. I will let her talk about this project and the She for STEAM project in Nigeria. Today, if you want to be part of it, I think it would be great. For those of you that are looking to make a difference in Africa, especially towards empowering girls and women, this will be a great project to be part of. So, welcome, Mrs. Nkiru. Did I miss anything, or do you want to add more to all the accomplishments that you have made?
Hello. So glad to have me here. Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure. Do you want to add anything? Is there anything that I am missing?
No, none for now. I think you've done a summary.
Excellent. I understand that you and your mother run a She for STEAM project in schools in Nigeria. Can you tell us a little bit about it, please?
Okay. Thank you very much for that. The program that is actually an initiative of my NGO, like you rightly said, Launching Life International. So that is the mother umbrella kind of. So the She for STEAM is an initiative of my NGO. We're also into women development. So this is the girl aspect of it. Yeah, we just commemorated International Women's Day. Can you hear me, please?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the theme of this year International Women's Day is digital. So innovation, including innovation and technology as a tool towards promoting girls in their career, critical thinking, and being the better self of them tomorrow. So it was actually born of the passion of myself being a STEM career person. I'm actually a medical lab scientist. I think that's the one you missed out.
No,
I'm a lab
sorry.
scientist.
Apologies.
Yeah, I'm a medical lab scientist, and I'm running a partnership program with Viral Hepatitis Association of Nigeria. I've also worked with the United States Department of Defense HIV Reference Lab. So I got to know a little bit of how the US and in general their education system works. In my little understanding, I would say I'm yet to explore more. So this vision, She for STEAM, is actually to, like the motto goes, inspire. So the first aspect of it is actually to initiate this desire, this like, oh wow, kind of sentiment into these girls so that they see women like us. I'm a medical person, right? I'm also a STEM career. So they see, okay, this is what the future holds for me if I go for a STEM career. So we've inspired. So the next stage now is to include. That's the inclusion we are talking about in the inclusion, diversity, and the equity model being used in addressing this. So we include them. How? Because we have created the first stage of inspiration. Because for you to have brought me to this platform, I believe you inspired me on what you're doing so far in touch. So that's what inspired me to come to this program and attend, right? So that's the same way we take that approach to these girls to inspire them. Okay, these are the STEM careers. This is what you'll be tomorrow. This is the future. Why we are trying to encourage you to be a STEM educationist or a STEM career person in the future. That's the second stage include. Then the last one is, which is not the least, is innovate. How do we mean by innovate? We try to make them have hands-on, because once you finish talking, if there's no practicality, hands-on, you've not done much. So the innovation aspect is actually would like to say the broadest aspect of the vision, because it's going to be more uh, interactive in the sense of it. There has to be like a STEM club. There's going to be like a STEM hub. I'm already started explaining the project, if you can permit me.
That's
So
all good.
there's going to be the hubs. So in this hub set up in the schools, right now, we already have one, like I told you, with my mom's school there in Anambra State, Oka. We already have one, and every break time they gather together. So they have all this computer and STEM gadget, if I could say. So the short-term goal is actually what we've already started with. That's the inspiration.
Okay.
Inspiration that's going to the schools and creating the platform
Okay.
awareness kind of sensitization.
Okay.
And right now, we already collected names of schools that are mostly underserved communities that will start visiting. We already done communication to their principals and their head teachers. So they already welcome our project and they are ready to start implementing once we garner the stakeholders and the resources that we need. So it's already, the short-term goal, I would say, has already started.
Okay.
Then the long-term goal is actually to have these STEM hubs in the schools, in the sense of having having symposiums like annually or quarterly, where we can have competition for the girls that are in STEM to maybe to develop. If they are in the engineering aspect, they can develop robots. Nigeria should come to that aspect. Nigeria should come. So this is where the international communities and tech companies outside the country can be of help to us. Okay, so imagine there is a competition for girls developing robots to help some chores at home, or depending on where their inclination are, because in the short term goal, we are also going to have environmental patterning, where we take these girls maybe on an excursion to NITDA. NITDA is in Nigeria, is under NCC. We take them to this robotic organization as a part of environmental patterning, so that we actually understand their key inclination in either science, technology, engineering, math. Then once this is notified, we now pick it and harness it totally, because we believe in key inclination of each girl child. So we don't encompass them with a whole lot at the same time they are lost. So that is the short-term goal. And the long-term goal is actually to have this hub, have annual symposium where we can actually have exchange program, have podcasts like this, so that the international community of STEM can also see what these girls can do if given a broader platform to explore.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent. Who are your target population?
In Nigeria here or
Yeah,
international?
in Nigeria, right? Who are your target population? Which type of school are you targeting? Are you targeting elementary school, or are you targeting secondary school?
Yeah, we are targeting mostly because of the the community we want to have. We also want to have responses in terms of maturity. So we
Okay.
are targeting the primary school, the elementary schools, and also the secondary schools. So we'll
Okay.
have it in batches.
Okay. So
Yes.
it's going to be in all the schools, all level. So in Nigeria, so the primary school is basically from class, class 1 to 6, I take it. Correct?
Yes, that's what we
Right?
have it. Yeah. Class
Okay.
1 to 6 is the primary. Then from class JS1 to SS3, that's is secondary school. So we'll have JS1, JS2, JS3, SS1, SS2, SS3. So 6, both
Wow.
for elementary and the secondary.
Wow. This is a little bit different from when I went to school. When I went to school in Nigeria, it was the primary school is from, class 1 through 6. And then secondary school was from Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, Form 4, Form 5. And then after that, you go to a higher institution. So things are a little different now, I take it.
Oh wow. Yeah. That must be a very long time.
Yeah, indeed it is. So
And
that,
you don't look it at all.
oh my mind. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So other goal, long-term goal that you have is to have different hubs and also include many schools. I believe you plan to include about 34 schools in Abuja, if I'm not mistaken. And Abuja is the capital of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, correct?
Yeah, 55 schools.
55 schools, not 34. Wow, 55.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Yes.
ambitious. That is
Yeah.
pretty ambitious. How has the response been from the principal? Have you had positive response or not?
Yes. The collation is actually 55 schools that we've already gotten down. That's their names, their email. Maybe after this podcast, I can share that with you after I've consulted with my board of trustees
No
because
problem. No problem.
it's a company program document. So we have contacts, their emails, and their addresses of the schools, and we're able to grade them in tiers of schools. That's underserved schools, schools for the elites. That's those the biggest sites of the urban settlement. And we also have the middle class, like in between elite and underserved. So this is going to help us to also know the approach we are going to be using in deploying the STEM crops, because it's not what is applicable. Sorry to say that, but that's the truth. It's not what is applicable to the elite, children from the elite, that is also applicable to the underserved and rural community children. So this is going to help us to know the actual curriculum to deploy for each set of the children in the course. So we already met some of the, as at last year, December, I didn't travel for ESMA, so I spent in Abuja here. So because once I'm in a project, I stay to it till I'm done. That's an aspect of me. So we reached out to some of the principals, those around me, and they welcomed us. They're actually waiting for us to start, So, and before that, I had some curriculum from some organizations like on coding and ICT courses that we can actually formulate in form of a syllabus and start deploying. Okay, that's for the elite community schools. Then for the underserved communities, I've been able to meet the chief of my community. I live in Kubwa, Abuja. So I've been able to meet with the king of Kubwa due to my networking, because I believe in networking. NGO is not something I do alone. I need the traditional rulers. I need the women in the community. I need everybody. I even need the men. And maybe that's why I met someone like you too, because this vision is not just for girls, it's for everybody. And because STEM is actually the future. All right. So I and my team have been able to meet the king of Kubwa. His name is His Royal Highness Chief Bulos.
Is he in the picture that you shared with me?
Yes,
Okay,
that one I
good.
shared when
Okay,
we went
good.
to his palace.
Oh,
Yeah, we're
good.
actually in his palace. He's actually one of our he for she. That's men supporting women. You can see
Yes.
when we coronated him and gave him an award in one of those pictures. So
Indeed.
so this is the inclusiveness we are talking about, so that they see that this is not just a fight women are doing. No, we are open. Our arms are open for collaborators.
Yes.
All right. So we went to him and he was excited because he can just give us the list of all the schools in his province and we'll start implementing. So you see,
Right.
implementation is not a problem for us. The goal, the post is already set, as they will say. So it's for us, Flourishing Life, and other collaborators and the international community in particular to partner with us. I will set the ball rolling.
So now that you mentioned the palace, I take it this is the event that you had last year for the Flourishing International, right? This is also your mom's school and also your collaboration with your mother.
Yes, please.
Students, yeah,
Yeah.
these are the students. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Bear with me for a second. So I take it that this is your mother right here in the middle.
Yes, please.
Very good. Very, very fine, beautiful lady. I see these are the young girls or young ladies that your mom is mentoring and you're also mentoring. Am I correct?
Yes, please. This is just a segment out of the whole lot.
Wow,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
I can see.
because the school is made of 252 pupils, as
Wow.
it is.
And
So
by the
this
way,
is just
pupils means students, correct? If I'm
yes, student. Yes,
okay,
student.
very good.
Mhm.
And then, of course, this is another educator in the background, I take it.
Yes, please. Another STEM teacher.
Okay,
My mom actually studied zoology in university, so she's
really?
a
Oh,
science student too.
oh, nice, nice. And of course, this is another group set of students.
Yeah, this is the secondary. This is the secondary school because
Okay.
the girl you see there is actually in JS3.
Oh,
So this is and you can see she's a disabled. So we are actually trying to also diversify it to disabled girls that feel closed up and boxed out. So we're trying to bring them to the fore that no, that you are disabled doesn't mean you can't be something. So she is
awesome.
her name is Chioma. So
Okay.
she's actually a STEM advocate because of her disability. So she can see that there's a lot she can do despite her disability. So that was the
That
idea
is,
behind it. Yeah.
that is amazing. That is amazing. And of course, this is this the classroom? I take it the students in the class. This is elementary school, correct? If I'm
Yeah, this is the elementary school. The ones in white are elementary students. So
okay,
this is elementary school.
okay, okay. This is nice. And of
I also
course,
did
go
okay.
ahead. Please go
Sorry.
ahead.
Yeah, I did a video where they were having a science a computer class.
Yes, yes. I'm going to get to the video. So, and then this is the picture of some of the elders. I take it in the community. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is where the king of Cuba I told you about.
Okay.
So that is
Uh,
me, myself, and
okay.
my team on CAPS. So we introduced our vision to him
Okay.
and his cabinet. These are his cabinet members. This is the community where I live because I believe I should start from where I live. So
Absolutely. Yes.
this is the king in the middle with me there on
Okay.
traditional. So this was the second stage of introducing the project, and they all welcomed it and expect us to start deploying.
Well, you
And
have to commend the excellency for his vision and his support for your program. That is very nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he's actually our he for she. So he has done a lot for us
Nice.
towards the program. Yeah, and that's his daughter in the middle.
Oh, that
But
is his brother. Okay.
yeah, a rainbow colored chest. So she's also our STEM advocate in the community. So you
Very
see
good.
how we are in making it a community involvement so that they can own up the project
Absolutely.
as a sustainability plan. So they know this is our project. We are not bringing external persons to them. They own up the projects. So that's the idea behind our strategy.
This is one of the best practices. I love it. It's a good practice. I know that you have some challenges. So some of the challenges is resources, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sure. That
Yeah.
is part of the resources because before now, like I said, is a non-for-profit organization. So we have been using our personal income as a group and the executive in my team. So this is how we've been funding the project as at the time we've been implementing, and also help from one or two individuals that we met and told about the project. So the paucity of fund is actually a huge challenge. Like I said, you have 55 schools, so you can imagine what it would take to actually reach 55 schools. Mostly, we want to adopt an after school model and also an in school model that's during their break time, their moral instruction time, just once in a week. Yeah, so those are the two approaches we want to use in deploying the She for STEM initiative.
So, as you were sharing earlier, one of the biggest challenge to any STEM organization, any STEM initiative is always resources. So
Yes, please.
in this video that I'm about to share, you share limited resources that you have. And if you are able to have a lot of resources, this will help a lot, right?
Yes, please, because this is what we could be able to afford as an organization. And you can see some of them are not up to date, if I should use that word, but we're just using it because it's in a rural community. Of course, you wouldn't want us to use this in one of those elite schools we mentioned out of the 55 school,
Yeah.
So this these are what some of them also created as the form of their handiwork in STEM, like the abacus you saw there, the student made it themselves.
You're right.
And yeah, so most of those wooden projects you saw, the student made it themselves.
Wow.
After
I'm impressed how this tall building is able to is that a staircase? Is that a stair?
yeah,
Oh wow.
that is actually one of them that indicated interest in architecture. So
Wow.
she already started designing what her dream house would look like. So
Impressive.
you can imagine if this is expounded and she's giving, much environmental pattern and taking her to architectural site, not just her, maybe a team of, I told about key inclinations. By the time we identify their inclinations, we gather them as group and we'll have, depending on the resources available, we can have it weekly or monthly, visit an architectural site. Like me, that is a medical person, we can take them to our viral hepatitis center. We can take them to most of these labs to actually see what vaccine looks like. But we have to observe strict, good medical lab practice so that they can't get infected at the end of it all.
Absolutely.
So we also take them to NNPC so that they see where the crude oil is got from. So these are part of the long-term goals, like I was discussing with you. Yeah. They are all encompassed in the proposal, as it were.
That is good. This is very, very good. And this is the project that the students completed.
All of them. We didn't buy them. They made them themselves. It's only the keyboard is an old keyboard so that they can actually see what a keyboard of is computer looks like.
Wow.
So that was an old keyboard that we brought and was showcased them, because most of the laptops they use there is actually my laptop, and my mom's laptop. So we are just trying to use what we have at the moment, not waiting for the government, but we are using what we have at our disposal.
Right.
Just to start up something.
That is really impressive.
We believe we can do more.
Wow.
If we're encouraged. Yeah. So that is it.
That is really impressive. And then of course this is one of the schools I know. It's a little bit it is inverted, but this is what you have to walk from, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah, this is just an already established center that's in an underserved community with 252 students. Okay, so that's an underserved community. I hope to share the one in the schools in Abuja here. That's with the elite communities. That's with you.
Okay.
Part of the 55 schools that we have already
identified
and gotten the contact of their principals and their headmistress and proprietresses. Yeah.
You mentioned a curriculum for underserved community and the wealthy community. In designing your curriculum, why will you want to differentiate underserved, privileged community? Go ahead.
I didn't mean I'll differentiate. What I meant is that a lot of work has to be put in the underserved communities.
Okay, why will that be so? Why can you expand on that?
Yeah, because compared to the elites, that's let's say wealthy communities, imagine some of the schools we visited, most of them already had tabs. They already started coding classes. Like some persons I interviewed, Zoe and the mom, Zoe, Caris, and some of these families, they already have tabs and they already started the inclination at a very early age. So disseminating this with them won't be an issue. Unlike the underserved communities where most of them don't even know what a laptop looks like. So there's
Mhm.
going to be more in it's a tripodal mission: inspire, include, and innovate. So a lot will be spent on inspiration in
Oh,
terms of the underserved communities. That was what I meant. I
okay.
wasn't trying to differentiate, because what is good for the gander is good for the goose.
Okay, I
Yeah.
understand.
But I was just trying to say that we'll have to um focus more on inspiring those underserved communities so that they could come to par with their other counterparts in the elite wealthy communities. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing that. That was informative. And part of the She for STEAM project is also participating and collaborating with organization to try to address hepatitis, HIV, and awareness, I believe. Can you talk about that a little bit, please?
Oh, yes. I started by telling you that Flourishing Life has two folds: for women and for girls.
Okay.
Okay. So mostly for the hepatitis, of course, we are looking at the women, the young women, so to say, because hardly you find this in children. But only on a concerted notice will we have to carry out screening for those children, because probably most of them got it from their parents,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So we can only do that if their parents consent to the form, because we normally have a consent form that their parents have to give us consent before we go ahead to screen their children. That's for the She for STEM in schools.
Oh,
Then our other aspect we have is women empowerment. That I'm talking about Flourishing Life. Now remember, I said She for STEM is an initiative under the main umbrella of Flourishing Life.
okay.
So the hepatitis and STI screening is actually for the women in our other initiative, which we call Ladies in Sustainable Community Development.
Hmm.
So I am a member of the Viral Hepatitis Association of Nigeria, and I'm a training officer there. So this is part of the program we use to find the missing million, as it were, in hepatitis, and also and okay, you can see from this were part of the screening we had. You can see one of us having a screening for the women and most of the men that came to support us. So mostly the HIV screening and the STI is mostly for the women. But if we are to adopt it for children, we look forward to having a consent form from their parents prior to having the screening with them. Okay.
So
So
this picture
that's,
that we're looking at, it's the screening activity that you did,
yes.
2022, I believe.
Yes, this was
And
our International Women's Day program
excellent.
that we had last year. So part of it was also to not just come and gather women together. Most of them are sick. Most of them are ailing and they can't know. So we had blood pressure testing. We had blood sugar monitoring. We had STI screening. And we also had hepatitis screening. And this we are all sponsored by Nourishing Life International. And
I think,
also, mm,
and this is, of course, this is the king, your king, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that was when he was doing his um thank you message after giving him the award of our He for She. That's the men supporting women. So it
That
was
is a big
this,
deal.
yeah. So
That
those
is,
are the women in his community. He came, the women which we have already we met them a day. It's a 3-day program. We went to radio stations and we had a radio talk on STEM. It was very elaborative radio station. So people called in. Some of them don't know what STEM was. So I had to explain to them, and most of them were inspired. So that was day one. We had a radio presentation. The lady you see there on mint green is an on-air personality of a radio station called Wazobia FM. So
yeah.
she was the anchor. She was the on-air personality. She anchored the program. And we look forward to having it as a weekly program, or depending on how the radio station collaborates with us, so that we can drive this term, because most people listen to radio when driving, when at work, so they can hear on STEM, on viral hepatitis, and also all emerging diseases that are upcoming. So that was me there having explaining to there's a caller that called in, doesn't know what STEM is about. So it was an hour segment we had on day one. So day two, we went to the chief in his palace. I think I sent you those pictures.
Yes.
We went direct the palace. We had about 55 women. I think no, we had 56 women because 2 came late. So they joined. So that was making it 56 women.
Okay.
So we had it in the palace. So we had to address the team that day was breaking the bias. That was last year's team. So we're able to break the biases. And what is depriving these women from being the best of themselves?
The volume is a little bit not as clear. I can hear something about cognitive. So can you elaborate on what you were talking about here, please, at the radio station?
Okay, you couldn't hear the audio.
Yes, the audience probably may need explanation. So what is happening here? Can you explain what you're telling your host?
Yeah. No, it wasn't just, she wasn't my host. It was a larger community. So it was a calling program. Callers were calling. It's a radio station. This is the most popular radio station in Nigeria. You can Google it, Wazobia FM.
Okay.
So I went with one of my colleagues. I think she's the one covering this video, if I guess.
Okay.
So she's also a member of the Ladies in Sustainable Community Development. So we were talking about, that's her there. That's my subordinate, Mrs. Gladys. Okay. So she's actually a widow. So she's actually handling what widows face as a result of the demise of their husbands and how STEM can actually help them as a next alternative. All right.
That's
so so she was coming from the widows community and I was coming from, will I say, the singles community. I did a lot of work as a single before. I'm just a year old in marriage. So
congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. So I did a lot of work as a single person. So I was coming from the single community and she was coming from the widows community.
Wow.
So we're actually trying to, like, breaking the bias was the theme for that year. So we're trying to break the ethnic and traditional norms and myths around the girl child going for a STEM career. So parents shouldn't feel, you're a girl, you're not meant, that's Mrs. Willy, the on-air personality. So we are trying to more of breaking the bias because we focus on that year's theme of breaking the bias. So parents, allow your girl child, there's nothing wrong in her having a helmet as an architect, wearing socks as an engineer. There's nothing wrong with her wearing her goggles in the lab, doing a lab work like me. I'm a lab scientist. So I made them know that I'm a lab scientist. And I'm a girl. And I'm still a girl. So most of the parents were inspired to go and actually make a change and break that bias around the girl child.
Nice.
Yeah. So
nice.
So this was day 2 in the chief palace with all the ladies in my team. So we drove it down to the community at the rural level. You saw day 1 was in the virtual community, day 2 was in the rural community, and day 3 was the urban community.
And this is day 2, I take it, correct?
Yeah, this is day 2. This is the chief palace, and these are the women and the girls. Actually, our girls, the future, I call them my future because these are the girls that we're impacting to be the better selves tomorrow.
Excellent.
Okay. So this is the chief palace in my community, Kubwa, Federal Housing, Abuja.
Wow.
On day 2. Yes.
And of course, this is the chief?
Yeah, this is the chief, and that's his cabinet, and these are my team. And that is me addressing the women because we are welcoming Fisher. You can see them talking. They were actually giving us their challenges because we believe in challenges. If we don't know the problem, we don't know what to offer as a solution. So we welcomed. They were actually speaking in their language. We had an interpreter, so they interpreted for us. So you can see what we went through just to drive STEM and STEAM education right into.
I'm so proud of you. Wow. This is good.
So they were speaking their language, so we had to wait for an interpreter. So the secretary of the thing is actually Leonard. So he was the one interpreting for us for some of the women that couldn't speak English language, but majority we are speaking their local language. That's Bagi language in Kubwa community.
This is very
So,
good.
so that was the question and answer segment, entertaining their challenges, their barriers, and their fears, and what we as an organization can do in collaboration with other organizations and the bigger STEM community as well.
It's very good. I'm really, really impressed. And it's good. Yeah. And this is the flyer. Take it.
Yeah. So this is what it really entails. It's entailed everything that we did, and what we spoke about. You saw the biases, the solutions we talked about the biases, and we profiled solutions, which you also have in a report, and we are willing to share with stakeholders. And we also talked about free medical. That's the checkup you saw us doing.
Yes.
At the foyer on day 3. That was the last day that we had that. Then we also talked about the role of mothers as role models to promoting the girl child to go for STEM career. Because most of the women there are science teachers. You can see my mom there in the middle. So most of them are actually science inclined. We also had a presentation on STEM education presented by Mrs. Joy. That's the last lady there.
On the right or the left? On the right.
No, I'm the last on the left. The last on the right.
On the right.
Yeah.
This lady.
Yeah,
right?
that's
okay.
Yeah, the last row.
The second row. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
good.
So she did a presentation on that. So each of the lady had each different presentation they did on
all these ladies are in STEM, I take it.
Yeah, majority of them, not all. Some are in financial, because you saw we also talked on financial aspects. There's a lady that
financial literacy. Wow, that's good.
Yes, we talked on that, because you can't talk anything about women without including money.
Money, right? Absolutely.
So bear with us. We had to include that very sensitive discussion.
It is essential.
So that was actually, you can say the topic is actually critical, sustaining the 21st century woman. So it was more of sustenance in terms of saving, because this post-COVID-19 pandemic has left a lot of things, and a lot of resilience has to be built in terms of financial literacy. So the lady there talked a lot, because she has a microfinance bank. She's also a mentor, a very good mentor to me. So she spoke a lot on how her microfinance can also empower women, and how women can save, especially after this post-pandemic era.
Very good.
So
excellent.
Then it ended up with the screening. Actually, as you're walking into the foyer, you get screened and you await your results, so that we don't have a clumsy time after the end of the session. So we made it, the screening was done. As you're walking in, you register, you get screened, and you go to the secluded corner and you're told your results. We collect all the positive and negative, and we commence other therapeutic measures afterwards as an institution.
That's very good. I noticed that men came to the screening too.
So they weren't left out. So we had to share the hospitality to them too, as well. So this was the lady that spoke on. Okay, you passed that. That was the lady that spoke on the STEM. She actually had she actually has a very beautiful presentation.
Excellent.
On STEM, which I co-anchored with her.
Okay.
In the process. Yes.
Excellent. And of course, this is the radio show.
Yeah. You can see the whole environment was all lit up when she came up. Because she's in fact, why we actually brought her, because she's most popular with the women. So you can see what made the women to also come for the program. So this was a strategy that we deployed in the process. Yeah.
Excellent. That is very good. But I've always thought, in order to get parents involved and to get students involve the celebrities. So you have done a great job, involving the celebrity, because this is one of the ways in which we can reach this youth. Because
E-
a lot of these youths look up to the celebrity, right?
exactly,
Um,
exactly. That was
um,
a strategy.
yeah, that is good. That is very, very good. And this is, of course, you coordinating everything. That is
Yeah,
good. That is very good.
that was me welcoming some of the speakers to the program.
And of course, this is your king. That is good. And
Yes, that's
it's
the
awesome.
king of my
Good.
community. Yeah.
That is good. That's good. Please commend him for all the support. That is really, really good. Wow. And then, of course, these are the ladies that are getting screened.
Yes, please. That was at the foyer. So you get screened before you enter inside the main auditorium.
Mm. You're doing a phenomenal job. Really proud of you. This is good. This is really,
Thank
really
you.
good. Right. Really, really. But I want to encourage you to continue this, um, because these are the kind of things that matter and make a difference. Wow, look at all these pictures. I want to,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want to take a look
We
at
also
this.
tried to drive the sustainable development goals. So because everything isn't complete without you pointing the SDG goal that you're driving down into the communities. All right. So most of these ladies don't know what SDG was about. So you can see we also had to take turn. Like this old mama here is up to like 70 years. And now
Hmm.
look at what she's holding.
Wow.
If you can zoom in, see what she's actually holding something that talks on promoting empowerment of women through technology. So you can imagine when she goes to the village, what she'll be sharing to her fellow women. So she has grown a knowledge base more than them.
Hmm.
All right. So well, we were able to pinpoint most of the SDG goals that we're working on. Talk about goal number 1, goal
Hmm.
number 2, goal number 3, goal number 4, goal number 5, and goal number 9. So
Wow.
these are the goals that were actually in sync with what we are trying to promote, especially in technology.
Hmm.
You can see them also here holding quality education and how STEM education, because STEM education is still under goal number 4. So how can we address the quality education using these women as advocates in their community?
Hmm.
So they can, this is a sustainability plan. They keep doing the work for us. They are already STEM advocates
Hmm.
identified by my organization. So
So, if I may understand, so the Flourishing Life International, it's it's an initiative that you have to sustain the STEAM initiative you have in place. Is that correct?
no, the Flourishing Life International is the NGO as
Okay.
a body.
Okay.
All right. The
Oh,
She for STEAM is the initiative
okay.
under Flourishing Life Internationals.
Okay.
Then the Ladies in Sustainable Community Development is the women led, because Flourishing Life is both made up of men and women. So
Okay.
the Ladies in Sustainable Community Development is the women arm of the NGO that is driving sustainable changes
I
as
see.
pertaining to women and International Women Days and anything that has to do with women, we commemorate it.
I see.
Okay.
Okay.
So
So the Flourishing Life International is the main body.
yeah,
So
it's a main body.
okay, very good. And of course, on the SHIFO STEAM, it's
It's
initiative that you have.
yeah, it's one of her children, if I should use that word.
Okay, very good. And that is focused on the secondary school, elementary school students to inspire, include,
and
and innovate.
innovate.
Very good.
Yes.
And of course, the Ladies in Sustainable Community, that is another arm of the Flourishing Life International that sustain all these activities that you're trying to do within the community.
Yeah, especially the STEM education too, and
Excellent.
HIV, hepatitis, and STI projects.
Okay.
So,
So this is really good. If I may also pin this, your hope is to connect the young students with the best practices that is happening in the STEM field. Am I correct with that?
Yes,
Oh,
yes, please. Yes,
okay.
please. To
Okay.
identify the keen inclination in them and to expose them to environmental partnering that I already explained to you earlier by
Okay.
taking them on excursions. We
Mhm.
already discussed all this with their principal of their school.
Yeah.
So they're already aware of what we want to do. They're just awaiting us to start.
Yeah.
All right. So
Okay.
the whole idea is to increase the STEM talent pool in Nigeria and also to mitigate the gap between boys saying, oh, don't go for this. Why are you can imagine only a girl in an engineering department. So such eras have already passed. So
Yeah.
we are moving to equity and inclusion and as well diversity as it
I'm,
were.
I'm glad that you mentioned that because I believe in one of the videos I overheard you talking about the disparity between boys and girls in terms of STEAM or STEM.
Yeah,
Can you elaborate on that? Is that still going on in Nigeria? I mean,
yeah, sure.
how?
I think that was at the radio station. I made that because somebody said, call a parent actually called in a father because she said, why should he waste it? I quote his word. Why should he waste his money in training a girl for a STEM career when she will end up married to a man and end up in his kitchen? So
Wow.
you can imagine the
Well,
myth.
is he speaking out of fear or is he
No,
speaking
that
out of
it
ignorance?
we talked about the traditional biases. The theme of that program was breaking the bias. So those were part of the beliefs
Wow.
that my country still have, especially some areas that maybe I don't have the permission to mention, but we all know those areas as it were now that don't believe in anything about the girl child. Just get trained by your mother once you're 16, 15 years old, your life. All right.
Mm.
So it was an open radio program where we made them to understand that no, your girl's education doesn't end in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Okay. We are trying to increase this time because there's a huge decline in the boy, girl, or will I say male female ratio of STEM careers.
Mm.
So this is like an early clarion call to start early. And when I mean early, starting at the youth, the most elementary stage, that is when they are still children, to, like I say, inspire. My major aim in the threefold vision is inspire. So the inspiration has to come on the parents, on the caregivers, on the teachers, and also the traditional rulers. Imagine if the king calls all the people in his village and said, no, anyone that does not want his child to go for a STEM career, because he's a king, every other person is subject to him.
Mm.
And do you know what? His best daughter now is doing biological sciences in one of the universities. She's just in her year one. So you can imagine that might have made him to, make his daughter to go for that STEM career because she was telling me she just wanted to go to tailoring and all this kind of. But after that program, she got inspired and she's doing medical lab science. That's my course. So you can see I'm already a model to her.
Right.
She's studying.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so she's studying medical lab science in one of the universities in the West.
Wow.
So these are what we are,
Congratulations.
so these are what we are talking about. They've seen a model. Oh, this is Miss Chinwe, and she studied med lab science. I can be one. So that's the modeling we are talking about. And when we address the women, we also told them, be a model for your child, even though you're not educated. Find somebody that you always tell her, this is this person. See what she read. See how her life has been beautified. You can be such. So it starts from the cradle. It starts from the primary schools. And it also starts from the men supporting women in what they do.
I'm really impressed. I noticed that you have this gentleman here, you have the king, and of course the men in here, getting the men involved.
Exactly.
This is powerful because it's not an affair for just the ladies.
Exactly.
Men have to have the buy-in because when the man in Nigeria, where is the man's world, if the man is not really involved,
Exactly.
it can be problematic.
Exactly. So we're trying to get the men involved. So because it's all about ownership. So we should not be talking about all this without involving the men. Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
international women, it's
Yeah,
digit all, but we can't do without them. Let's just be frank with ourselves.
that
We
is
have
true.
to invite them, give them some sensitive position, and you see them running with the vision, and we'll also be, pushing it along with them. So it's a mutual benefit of everybody at the end
Absolutely.
of it all.
And then you're also involved in the elders in the villages. This is good. This is absolutely good. This is powerful.
Yeah.
This
Yes,
is
they came for
great.
the program so that they can go home and spread the news about STEM is not for the boys. Oh, my girl can go for STEM. So imagine, at least my greatest ambition is that girl going for my course, medical lab science in school. Is the greatest
Yes.
ambition I have. And
Yes. Go ahead. Please go ahead. Finish your
no,
thought.
I said is the greatest ambition I have. So even if I didn't achieve anything, I know I have
Oh,
model
you will
girls
achieve.
that
Oh, stop talking. Like you will achieve. Oh my
I know,
God.
I know, I know. But it's the most exciting ambition I've achieved that I've modeled a girl to study my own course in the university. And, to the glory of God, I thank God for so far
Yeah.
we've done. I will believe we can do much more. This is just what we did as part of it because my husband also supported me in this.
Excellent.
And we
Excellent.
put our resources together.
Commend
And
him, please. Commend him. Commend your husband.
yeah, sure. He will hear. So we can actually do more if we engage much companies, technological companies. There's a lot we can do. We can have symposium. We can have exchange programs. I'm now going into sustainability and the future of STEM. We can have exchange programs with some universities that are already STEM inclined. Some of the students can have a hybrid kind of program, exchange programs with them. That's those that we have identified that are actually interested
Yes.
in studying a STEM career. All right. We can also have a symposium where they come and actually advertise their products, maybe their laptops or whatever they are producing. It can also be a symposium where we invite NIPDA because I already made establishment with all these companies. They can have a fair. It could be a technology fair where you come showcase what you're manufacturing as a tech company. All right. You could sell your software because some of these schools need some technological softwares
Yes.
to be able to manage their schools. Most of the schools in Abuja here, they are high tech schools when I talk of the elite school. So they need some of these softwares for their assessment, curriculum, and also for grading their students. So there's a whole lot that the partners can benefit if we are talking about partnership benefit, not just for our organization benefit, but the partners have a lot to benefit. All right. Where we have fairs, technology fairs, we could have symposium. We could also have a podcast like this where they all come and also discuss the future and what else can be done because I know STEM career and education is inexhaustible. They could discuss what they have to do and what else are yet unexplored that we don't even know about.
It's true.
So this is the exchange program that I look forward to.
Good.
Like I said, it's a long-term goal. I look forward to achieving that in the future.
I really commend you. I love your initiative. I love your spirit. I love your passion. I love the dream. And so I'm always an advocate for dreamers that you have to dream and also have to have a plan and execute. You appear to be doing all of that. So this is one of the reasons why I call you one of the future leaders, especially as it pertains to STEAM and STEM in Nigeria. And I'm happy that I know you. I'm happy that I'm able to be part of this journey. My hope is to continue to collaborate with you. So in regards to collaboration, how much does Nigerian government spend towards STEM initiative? How involved is Nigerian government?
Okay, I will say I don't really have much elaborate information on that
Okay.
right now, but
Well,
I know full well that there is a national communication, that's the Nigerian body in charge of everything communications and technology in Nigeria. That's the NCC, and there's also the NITDA. That that are also having one or two. I believe I'm yet to explore their websites,
Okay.
because part of what I do is I get to where the government can't reach, so that's community based. But I'll try to find out extensively, because I can't give you an extensive information
I
on
I
that.
under- I
But
understand.
I do believe they might have one or two things in respect to that.
Yeah, the reason why I asked is your efforts, will be, let's say, will be much easier if there is some support from the government and corporations in Nigeria. Nigeria being one of the wealthiest country in Africa, I think we can afford it. They can afford it. It's about a high time. Um, so I would like to encourage everyone, all the decision makers, the policy makers, especially in Nigeria and all around Africa, to step up the efforts to try to help people like Mrs. Inkiro, who really are stepping up to the plate to try to build and prepare the next generation for the STEAM innovation. Mrs. Inkiro, I just want to thank you so much for coming on In Touch, Think STEAM Careers. Do you have the final word? Is there anything else that you would like to share with me, for especially in regards to people that would like to support you, your project, your organization in Africa? Where do they live? How do they reach you? Do you have a website that I can also, which I don't mind sharing later with the audience? Is there final words that you would like to share?
Okay, yes, I do have a website, and
Uh,
I also have a profile that
okay.
is also including all the other things that Flourishing Life as an organization, because this is just one of the projects that we did. We also had other projects that we did since inception, 2018. We started. So, my final word is that in terms of the Nigerian body and international STEM communities, I believe that the STEM promotion and the talent gap, promoting and closing up the talent gap, is not just something that we will achieve in isolation.
Mm.
All right. So when like such organization like mine, I'm not just trying to be um all inclusive or myself, but every other person that is in STEM project is highly, will I say, it's highly resource dependent, okay? Because most of the students want to see hands-on. It's not like, sorry to use that word, like some public administration that is most courses that are virtually taught that you can understand. This is science, this is technology, this is engineering, this is mathematics. So those that are being taught, or those that are being inspired and to be included in the on the career, have to see what they are to be introduced into.
Mm.
So it has to do with more hardwares, something to see, something to touch, and something to implement.
Mm.
So I, as an organization, and on behalf of my board of trustees and my ladies in sustainable community development, I implore the Nigerian government. My website is open to be accessed, and I implore them to also reduce the the rate of approach. What I mean, some of the ministries, the approach they put for NGOs is on the high side,
Mm.
and most of our proposals you submit, and it doesn't even get to be attended to. And before you know it, they're saying somebody else is doing your project. So that's why you see us um having some intellectual property rights on our proposal, so that it doesn't get to be diverted.
Yeah.
And when we come back, they tell you, oh, we're already doing something like that. So
Mhm.
there should be an encouraging
Transparency.
aspect. Yeah, there should be encouraging aspect from the government. Because like you said, imagine if I'm being empowered. This is what I did as an organization, we did ourselves
Hmm.
and some other help from Viral Hepatitis Association and some of those you saw on the flyer. Imagine the government is part of this. Imagine the radio station we went to, we are being promoted to do more. We can have it as a weekly calling, people call it, and we break down these biases and misconception
Yeah.
around STEM education. So
Abs-
that is my appeal to the Nigerian government and also the larger international community. In terms of the symposium, we have a lot to explore. And Nigeria being so far, as I know, the giant of Africa, we have a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Still
we
the
have
giant.
giant, still the giant, still the giant. So we have a lot of, when you talk about the career pool of STEM, of people in STEM, the market is here. The
Yeah.
business expertise are here. So there's no business you bring to Nigeria that you won't have interested stakeholders here. So I'm also inviting the international community for symposiums, collaborations. We have a lot to do. And with the contact I have, I believe I can explore because that's one of my major talents, exploring and networking. So we can do a lot together and we'll drive STEM because STEM is the future. Thank you
Right.
very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mrs. Sinkiro. Well, I'd like to remind everyone that this program, this podcast, the name of this podcast is In Touch, Think STEM Career. I would like to remind everyone that STEM is vital to our community. I want to say that again. STEM is vital to our community because our community's health, economy, future depends on the solid foundation and participation in the innovation taking place in the STEM field. As a result, this podcast explores the evolving world of science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics in underrepresented community, including Blacks, Indigenous people of color, and Africa. As STEM field continue to evolve, this podcast will attempt to connect with men and women who are champions of and in STEM education and careers to gain insight into how the BIPOC community can be part of this innovation and how they can inspire and support the creation of innovative solutions for sustainable development that will contribute to positive change in the BIPOC community for improving the quality of life. I am Dr. Ayo Bade. I would like to encourage you to please support Mrs. Inkiru with her organization, the initiative. These are the type of services and the initiative that can encourage, that can inspire, that can innovate our young people. Please support Mrs. Inkiru. Later on, I'm going to be posting her website so you can have an access to it. If you like a program like mine, please support my program. You can also donate. Again, I would like to thank you very much for taking the time and spending the time with us. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you so much.